Hello and welcome everybody again to game number 2 in the St. Clair College versus Western University match tonight here on the Saints Gaming channel. Game 1 was insanity, and I am so excited to see how game number 2 plays out. We saw some excellent performances from the carries on the side of St. Clair, as well as some astounding support utility plays from Miensfo and Frez on the Malphite and the Braum, respectively. Just incredible initiation from those utility carries in the game. The whole team played exceptionally well. Curtis, what are your thoughts on games number 1 before we jump into game number 2?
I saw a lot of aggressive teleports coming out of Frez, stuff that I haven't seen before from him, and it went really well for the most part. The first one was a little bit iffy because the Kane in topside with the Herald, but it worked out really well to get the bot lane ahead. Now we're looking at Pro Draft. They ban out the Fizz, the Graves, and the Vayne from last game. That is insane. They must have had a lot of issues.
Yeah, Western really was not a fan of that St. Clair comp, and literally, it's funny, the exact champion that I named, Akali does end up going St. Clair's way because of that. It does look like St. Clair got blue side draft here as well, which I believe they had in game number 1. I don't know if that's a mistake or if that's how OPS rules allow for, but this is going to be an Akali first pick for St. Clair going into game number 2. You don't typically see the double first pick, but I'm sure St. Clair is happy to have that pick, likely going to Yule. It is a flex pick, but 9 times out of 10, that's going in the mid lane here. And the response from Western is, of course, MF and Heckler.
Yeah, Heckler being such a good jungler right now, being able to really death ball towards the bot lane, where you get them ahead as much as possible to respond to Lazi's presence and how strong he was in last game. So with that pick, I'm expecting a really good engaged support to follow up on Western side.
The Jhin being picked up here for St. Clair is such a strong meta pick, and it's a really powerful lane presence, especially into this Misfortune matchup, which is relatively low range. But Jhin with Braum is definitely an interesting choice. Miensfo does play a fair bit of Braum, but combining Jhin with it is just kind of awkward because Jhin does not, unlike Vayne, does not have a very easy time proccing those Braum passives. So it's going to be a little harder for Miensfo to set up those stuns in the bot lane 2v2.
Yeah, there's that easy engaged support. I was talking about my favorite support personally. It's Thresh. I'm very excited to see how this champion is played on the side of Western. And as you were saying about that Braum Jhin, it is very clunky at times, but the CC chain makes it all worth it in the end because you're just able to really lock someone down.
That is true. You do have the ability to deadly flourish on top of the Braum stun once it lands, which can equal relatively just about 3.5 seconds worth of crowd control onto that single target, which is just really devastating, especially against a champion like Thresh, which has relatively low armor and magic resistance in the early game, because it's going to be a lot of gank setup available for St. Clair here. As we move into second phase, that Sylas is being taken away, which means St. Clair might be looking at Malphite again as another option. It is a very good response to Misfortune being able to access that backline. That being said, I would not be surprised to see Western either picking or banning it away themselves here with this last and final ban.
Yeah, leaving open that Malphite for Frez is just really good for him. He's going to be able to do pretty much the same thing he did last game, which is just play with this Braum, play with this bot side, get these really good team fights off where you're just making them go into a bouncy castle, and it's just really comfortable for him in the lane. So he'll always have something to impact with these team fights. But they banned out the Ornn.
Yeah, okay. Well, that is very interesting. We have the Malphite ban coming up from St. Clair. I guess they don't want Western to combine that with the Heckram. There is a little bit of anti-synergy there with the Malphite and the Heckram, while they basically do the same thing, or just about the same thing, with relatively similar access to a backline. We just got confirmation from the production team. It is a loser chooses side here, so it looks like Western wants their red side drafts. They want the ability to get that first and second counter pick here. So Western did choose the red side for game number 2 here. It is not a mistake. We will be carrying on into the game here. And as we move into pick number 4, Western taking away the Echo for themselves. That is a very strong response to Akali in the mid lane. It's a decent matchup either way, but it does put a lot of pressure now on St. Clair that mid lane will not be a free ride. There is the opportunity for Echo to snowball out of hand. And speaking of snowballs, Nunu and Willem looking like the jungler for St. Clair.
Blue side Nunu is very interesting because you do not have as much of an easy access into the Dragon Pit what you could very easily do at the start of the game. So it's going to be a little bit different with pathing, but I think it's a really good pick in order to really snowball their lead.
Nunu is a fairly decent response to Hecarim, since while Hecarim can be a crazy gank threat, so can Nunu, and he has similar, if not even stronger, neutral objective control as well, with the ability to just chomp his way through Scuttle Crabs, through Rift Herald, and through Dragons. As you mentioned, the Dragon access is going to be a little awkward from the blue side, but the Herald access will be quite strong. And since you are running a high priority mid and top lane, it is likely that St. Clair may be prioritizing Heralds a little more heavily with this draft. Western picking up the Fiora as a response to the Shen, going to Frez up in the top lane. That is a skill matchup as well. It is a matchup that can very easily go either way. So again, some very threatening lane matchups in this game number 2. We've seen St. Clair pop off like crazy game number 1. Let's see if they can do it again game number 2.
Yeah, Western definitely having a really strong dive comp with this Hecarim, Thresh, Echo, Fiora. They're just going to be looking to just get on top of them, get into these squishy parts of Jhin and Akali, and just really try and capitalize off of that. And then St. Clair having a really strong play to your bot side, play to your mid side comp, having Shen for the utility. As I stated before, Shen is really strong right now. Just being able to be that force. He's just really good with the Season 11 items as well in preseason. Sunfire, insane on him. Titanic Hydra, really good on him. He's going to be a real big tank.
Looking at both of these drafts, there does seem to be a little bit of kind of missing draft identity with these choices from both teams. You mentioned the dive comp for the side of Western, and while they are somewhat divey, there is also this element of like, we want to force aggressive fights on one side so Fiora can split on the other. So then you're diving with like Hecarim Echo as your lead, which is very strong, but then your backline is Thresh, Misfortune, and with the amount of dive that St. Clair has available to them with the Akali, you're kind of splitting your fight lines a little bit. So I honestly feel that for either team, you're kind of running a similar situation, right? You've got this really aggressive frontline support with Braum, and then this very backline heavy carry with Jhin. You have this diving mid laner and this diving jungler with this defensive anti-dive top laner in the Shen. So both comps are kind of just like all over the place with what they're attempting to do. And if you're looking at it objectively, they're relatively similar compositions. So again, it is going to come down to who outperforms the other. And that is the best kind of League of Legends to watch, because you really get to see people's skills shine through in these types of matchups. So as we go into game number 2, best of luck to all the players. We saw some excellent performances from Lazi and Yansfo in the bottom lane. Yule with some great solo kills as well on the Fizz. Frez having an exceptional performance on the Malphite. Just really all around well done gameplay from St. Clair. Maybe Western will find it within themselves to give us a game number 3, because I've been enjoying watching this series. But we'll take a 2-0 any day of the week.
Yes, we will. I'm very excited to see how this goes. Thresh, I'm super excited for. He's my champion that I enjoy, even though I play top lane. It's a little awkward, but
no, I mean, we'll look into Thresh top lane. We'll explore. We'll mess around with it.
Let's not
in normal games on a level 13 account. We won't touch it in ranked, but that's okay. But definitely Shen, Fiora are some very strong top laners for this season. So if you are in Twitch chat, you are looking to pick up League of Legends, and you are excited by some of the champions you are seeing here on the map, definitely Shen and Fiora are 2 strong recommendations going into preseason 11. They are very fun to watch, and they are very fun to play. There is a lot of things you can do with these champions that is like kind of advanced skills and mechanical play. Even on champions like Shen that seem relatively simple, there is a lot to know about. For example, how to position your sword, how to make the use of your 3-hit passives, how to set yourself up for an ultimate so you don't just get immediately stunned and canceled. Like, there is a lot to think about with these champions, and it makes them really interesting and interactive to play with.
Yeah, Shen involves a lot of laning phase, just being able to shove it out before you make your rotation so that you're not punished heavily by the split pushing Fiora. If there's a bad situation where Frez ends up leaving his lane at a bad time, Fiora could capitalize off that very strong by being able to melt turrets with her Q and her E, just dealing so much damage.
Looking at these builds, these compositions rather, what's the build for Fiora this game? Do you think it's a Sunderer or is it a Triforce or something different? Looking at
thinking Sunder myself because of how tanky the St. Clair team is, and the fact that Sunder does so much damage to turrets as well. If she's just in a split pushing position, where most of the time she should be able to win because Fiora is just that kind of champion. I believe that Sunder is probably the call for this game.
It's a very strong item, and it's likely going to be the pickup for Hecarim, for Cyber on the Hecarim in the jungle as well. But looking at kind of the flip side for St. Clair, Shen 9 times out of 10 will be going for the Sunfire Aegis, but the Thornmail, which is such a great item for Shen, is also super helpful in this matchup. It shuts down Hecarim's healing, it shuts down Echo's healing, it shuts down Fiora's healing, and it's pretty decent value against the 3 AD carries on the side of Western. So if Frez has a good laning phase, it is going to be very hard for Western to break through this front line. Looking at the rest of the composition for St. Clair, we do have a fair bit of healing on our side as well with the Nunu and the Akali. I believe there is going to be some healing available with either Conqueror or Fleet Footwork being the two typical keystone choices for the champion. Likely going to see some anti-heal being picked up on the side of Western as well. So again, Grievous Wounds with their popularity in preseason 11, definitely going to be making an appearance in this matchup as well.
Yeah, Grievous Wounds, all of the items except for Executioners got lowered in price, so they're all 800 now. So Bramble and the Orb, Oblivion Orb, I believe, they are all 800 gold. So it's very easy to just fit it into your build as like a small component. And Shen in lane could build it against Fiora's healing with her passive Vital Prots. That's a very big part of Fiora, is her Vitals give her health, and her ult, if she can get all four, gives her even more health. So
times out of 10, we're going to see that Bramble Vest coming up first for Frez in this top lane matchup. And like we mentioned before, it is going to be a very impactful item once he completes that Thornmail for the rest of the game. Preseason 11 has always been about dominating your lanes, building that gold lead, and expanding into those strong components. I can't remember the name of the tier before Legend, but it has been spelled out by Riot. They have kind of this new idea with this shop of kind of separating items into tiers of effectiveness. And now these new component pieces that build into your early legendary items are all a lot easier to access cost-wise, and their stats are fairly strong as well. So getting an early kill in lane can snowball you to an insane height if you are able to take advantage of those kills through good wave management, through good turret pressure, etc. So laning phase is everything in this preseason.
Yeah, preseason laning phase is just the most important thing, as you said. It's just crazy. Like, the item spikes, the item damage, it's monumental. It's actually crazy. Like, this season feels completely different than anything else. And I've honestly had the most fun I've had in quite a while with this season, and how strange all the items are and how getting used to it and everything.
I'm excited to have fun as well. And here we are going into game number 2 as the teams set up in their traditional 5-point. We see it just about every game. It's funny because looking at this game, I definitely would have expected the teams to actually go for an invade with these compositions. There is a lot more early game strength available to both of these comps, but both teams happy to kind of just play the slow game, set up in that 5-point here. And speaking of excitement, like, I'm just really, really looking forward to how these games are going to play out. Like, game number 1 took me by surprise. I'm not going to lie. I love my Saints gaming, but Western University is a very good team, and it was just domination for St. Clair. And if that's what game 1 looks like, I can't even imagine what game 2 is going to be.
Yeah, that was definitely just a very big surprise with how, especially the level 1 went, and how Victor was already ahead in his lane, and being able to just stay and chill into the late game as Victor would have just been a godsend for him, pretty much. But now we're looking like Cyber's going to be starting to the top side to his red buff, getting a leash from Jayoya, and Trick starting bot side red, pathing up.
Worth mentioning that last game, both junglers started bot side and pathed their way top, I believe, if I remember that correctly. So looking at this game number 2 now, with Hecarim's choice, with Cyber's choice rather, to start up in the top side and make his way down, means that there is a plan to go for an early rotation onto the bottom lane. And this might be the change that changes the pace of the game here for Western University. St. Clair runs a lot of their plays through this bot lane duo, and putting the pressure down onto this bottom lane with an early gank from Hecarim might be enough to break down St. Clair's early game. We'll have to see how it plays out, but this is what we've seen typically in previous matches.
Yeah, definitely. With the fact that they're death following, which is just playing mainly towards your carries in your bot lane, it's good to start with the top side, especially as Hecarim, because he's such an easy character champion to just walk in and gank off of. So they're going to be looking as Western to let them push in. That threshold went a little wide. They're going to let them push in as much as they can to set up for this Hecarim gank. But it seems like they're holding it about the middle. They're looking for this level 2 advantage, try and hit their health bars down. and the Hecarim's now posturing down bot.
Went from the red to the Raptors into the Wolves, likely going to be a blue buff potentially just into the bot lane gank depending on the wave state. A lot of junglers do, especially with the ability like Hecarim to clear through Raptors and Wolves fairly quickly, may even read for that Gromp clear before Scuttlecrab spawns at about 3 minutes and 15 seconds. So looking at maybe setting up something early there, but here's Frez with a little bit of an overextension into the top lane. Joyoya diving right into the creep wave, chasing Frez, looking for these vital procs. There's going to likely be another lunge here up in the top lane, but Frez does manage to walk out of that one, does not have to commit his flash here. Might just be able to teleport back to lane, and you can already see Trick snowballing onto that top lane Scuttlecrab. In the bot lane now, with priority available for Western, they're looking to make an aggressive play here and set up for a potential Hecarim game. Nianspo having to flash out of that one, taking the ignite to the face. Lazi looking to set up the stun, but as we mentioned, Jhin has such slow attack speed, he's not able to find that stun connection onto Blaze Nova. In the top lane now, there goes the taunt, locked onto Joyoya. There's the flash from both Frez and Trick. A little bit of a miscommunication there, but they are able to lock down that first blood in the top lane before this dive gets too serious now in the bottom lane. Now Lazi going in for a play onto Blaze Nova. The teleport does get committed by Loyal here in the mid lane onto the Echo. They still have not managed to lock down this kill onto Lazi. They did. Nianspo did fall, as did Frez, but Lazi holding onto his life here under the tower. So 2 kills for 1 for Western. I don't know if that was worth it though. There was a lot of resources committed on that play.
Yeah, I don't believe that we needed to teleport down there as St. Clair, because now, even though Fiora was able to die off of that play, she did burn a lot with those 2 flashes, and as I said before, she's going to be able to get this plate with the fact that her Q and her E do so much damage to turrets. But Frez should be pretty okay in this lane. He has Bammies now, or Bramble now, sorry. And they're going to be looking to just play, hopefully, towards this next dragon that's spawning up soon for the bot lane.
It's Bambi's best.
Yes, it's Bambi's best.
Building a Bambi's best. God, if that item existed, I might actually just quit. Bambi's Cinder is so strong. Bramble Vest is so strong. If they combine them into some demonic combination component item, I would just... Oh god, that would be very terrifying. And as we look at the Shen now building up a little bit of a gold lead now here, trying to catch up on some farm as Fiora takes the reset here, we might see that Balmy Cinder come online a little bit earlier, which will give him a lot of priority and pressure in this lane. That passive burn, being able to automatically shove out the creep wave, will be very helpful in this matchup.
Yeah, both teams are posturing around Dryden now. Cyber getting his golems, getting his raptors, getting ready for the bot lane to be shoved out with pleb links. Just some really nice coordination from both teams. Loyal looking like he wants to go for a stun, just shoving out the wave for Dragon. Everyone's just on the same page, they're all doing the same thing. That's the level 6 advantage on mid, getting the passive proc off, getting the electrocute off, walking down towards Dragon.
These mid lane rotations, especially both being assassins, having the ability to execute some very nice tower dives, some very clean and quick kills, is going to be very intimidating for this immobile carry in the Jhin now in the bottom lane. Blaze Nova throws at the thresh hook. It does go slightly wide, connecting with a creep, not the ideal intended target of that here. But now, bot lane getting aggressive, but here comes Trick with a giant snowball into the bottom lane. Does manage to burn Blaze Nova's flash, actually. That is going to be very big going into this dragon fight. Thresh not having the flash available means that there's going to be limited mobility onto these thresh hooks and also these lanterns as well. Yule taking a bit of an extended trade here onto Loyal. The stun does go down, and Cyber is hovering in the brush. It is warded, however, and Trick now engaging onto Cyber. There goes the Deadly Flourish coming long from Lazi. Cyber is going to ult his way out of there, and now there is no Hecarim ult available. It is a long cooldown. That is about 2 minutes of no Hecarim ulti, so St. Clair might be looking to take advantage of that cooldown and look for a dragon as soon as possible.
Yeah, that's definitely a really good play by St. Clair to get that ult out, get the pressure, push out the bot waves. Oh, that hook from Blaze Nova hitting the Ansel. They're looking to go aggressive. Pleblinks getting onto him, and then Blaze Nova getting the kill. They're looking to go even... They're extending this fight a little bit too long. Frez getting the ult off to keep Lazi alive. Lazi flashing forward to get Pleblinks. Now they're looking to get Blaze Nova on to Lazi's double kill. Wow, that was a fight in the
from Frez. Really good ult from Frez, because otherwise that would have gone very badly for St. Clair. So being able to set himself up for that ultimate and respond to that play was just excellent awareness from the top laner. And now we have a 3-kill Jhin in the bot lane. That is very terrifying, especially with that serrated Jerk already being completed. Gonna get closer and closer to the Eclipse mythic item here. Now, only 8 minutes into the game.
Yeah, that is very good for St. Clair. But as I stated before, with the... Oh, we're just going to talk about this mid-fight real quick, and they're just disengaging. Trick is on the Dragon, gets the smite, gets the chomp. Lazi with no mana, getting ulted by Pleb Links, and plays Nova. Healing pool. They're looking a 4 for 1 Trick in the middle of all of that. Blaze Nova getting the autos off. Pleb Links with the triple.
Oh, see that Nunu ultimate. Just imagine if an Akali second ultimate was available there. That would have been the cleanest quadra kill of the preseason. Oh my gosh. Unfortunately for Trick, all his carries were dead. No one got to see the action live. We get to see it from the caster's desk, but everyone else just sees a gray screen, unfortunately for St. Clair. Now 5-7 here in game number 2. Western is taking control of this early game slowly but surely. The Dragon did go to St. Clair, and there's a fairly big wave pushed up now up in the top lane. We might be able to look for a Herald here as well, but definitely not the fight you want if you're St. Clair.
Yeah, this is definitely looking like a Herald play. If I was Perez right now, I would just go straight towards it, get the jungler on top of this. You have mid prio, you have top prio. There is a pretty good guess that Hecarim would be bot side after that Dragon, since he cleared on the top side to work his way down. So they're looking like they might be waiting just a little bit for it. They're getting the bot wave shoved out. They're looking to get some vision. Akali's roaming up currently. They are looking to snowball into that Scuttle crowd.
We actually see the bot lane rotating up into the mid lane to cover for Yule as he sets up this Herald. Cyber is rotating in. He's currently on his Raptors. He doesn't seem to be aware of his Herald take yet, but as soon as Mianspo shows up mid, I'm sure the Western Spidey senses are going to start tingling, because something has to be up if that mid support is just chilling in the mid lane. Yule rather did default back to mid lane here. He is shoving out the wave while Trick is soloing the Herald currently, but Cyber is nearby. This could be very bad for St. Clair if they're not able to secure that Herald shortly.
I believe they'll get it soon enough, and since Trick is on Nunu, he should be able to just secure it very easily with Smite and Q. As he gets it, Cyber comes in with the E, pushing him back into the wall. They're looking to chase, and then Trick runs away with the help of Yule, going back to mid lane, just resetting, getting a really free Herald take. Good job by St. Clair on that one.
But that was very close. Hecarim strolled in just as the Herald is on 500 HP. Like, just an inch more and he might have been able to smite it away from Trick. So a risky play from St. Clair, but does pay off in the end as well. Now Fred up in the top lane does have the Bramble Vest and the Plated Steel Caps completed. If you're not familiar with the item, it is basically just Ninja Tabbing with a fancy new skin. Trick getting shoved away up in the jungle here. But Frez looking like he might have that Bomby Cinder. If we could get a quick look at the gold amounts here for the team, taking a look and seeing what resources we have available here. Maybe get a little bit of nice boost from the production team here. Take a look at what gold we currently have available. But here in the mid lane fight, a little bit of a dive now onto Fuel. He is going to walk out of that one, actually choosing to re-engage onto Cyber. Cyber does go down as well here. And now Frez going for an extended trade onto Loyal. Not going to find the kill he needs. But yeah, would be really interesting to see what we're looking at here for gold, because these items are going to be a big thing in this game here. Big fight now into the bottom lane. 2 Cheekies coming down. Mozzie does get taken out as well. Trez teleporting, but immediately taunting out. Does get ulted by Jayoya, and now the ult from Fiora as well. Going to get lead into the cleanup kill there as well. More fighting and scrapping in the mid lane. Like we said, when there's a fight top, there's a fight bot, and there's a fight mid all at the same time.
Yeah, for us trying to do a lot this game with all of these teleports going all over the map, just a little bit late, unfortunately. But his top wave is now pushing out, as I stated before, with Shen. You do not want to leave your wave in an awkward spot, because now Fiora could possibly just freeze this wave and force him to respond. They're getting these plates in bot lane, having a nice wave push off of those kills. It's looking pretty good for Western right now, but I have some faith in the Saints.
Thank you for the production team for pulling up these gold amounts here. We can already see now the gold leads for some of these lanes. In the jungle, there's about a 300 gold difference for Trick. In the mid lane, 500 for Loyal. In the bottom lane, For Misfortune, Pleb Lynx, it is nearly a 2,000 gold lead now in this AD carry role. So while every lane seems to be fairly even, bot lane combined with Misfortune and Thresh is about a 3,500 gold difference in this bottom lane. That's going to mean a lot for items and how they impact the state of the mid game here. We're now currently at about 12.5 minutes. This is typically when teams start to divert away from their lanes and resort back into some of these early game fights, especially now that the second dragon is about to spawn. This is going to be a big fight for both of these teams.
Yeah, it's looking like we're just doing some pretty basic trading in the mid lane, and top lane is shoving out. We're looking for the next dragon here, so it's going to be all bot side and mid side. Since Frez does not have his ult or his TP up, he is just going to be on this island with this Fiora, just hanging out for the next few minutes, shoving some waves. Since he has Tiamat to help him shove those even more, he decided to skip Bammies, go for Tiamat, looking for an engage in bot side. Blaze Nova hitting the hook onto Mianzo. Mianzo flashing away from Cyber's ultimate. Cyber's E. Trick going in. Cyber ulting out. Trick trying to run him down with Lazi's ult on top of it. And then Yule having a nice roam to bot lane into the Pleb Lynx, having a great ultimate there, taking down Mianzo. And then Jayoya getting the solo kill top with Blaze Nova queuing onto Trick, getting this extended fight, running down Pleb Lynx, getting the kill onto Lazi. Zeddy.
Holy. That was crazy mechanical play from Loyal. The ability, he snapped the E onto Lazi underneath the tower, and the second the auto attack connected, he clicked the ultimate and flew back. Like, there was like a millisecond before that turret shot connected. Incredible mechanical performances from these teams. I was just shocked with how much damage Pleb Lynx's Q did. That double shot just slapped Mianzo for like 400 damage. Like, that was just disgusting. I played Misfortune earlier today, and boy, oh boy, she does damage.
Yeah, that fight was looking good for Saints at the start, but then it went a little bit just too aggressive, chasing them down, and it just started to go really sour after that. Pleb Lynx hit a really nice ultimate into turning around that fight with Loyal showing up.
Mentioned it based off of what you mentioned before. I was going to comment on the Tiamat. With the Tiamat pickup for Shen, it means that if it's going to be building into a Titanic Hydra, this does actually delay the Mythic choice for Frez, whereas if he had picked up the Bombay Cinder, he could have easily popped into the Sunflower Aegis. Now he's about 1,000 gold behind on that mythic purchase. And looking at the mid lane as well, Yule, instead of going for the more standard Night Harvester, as we've been seeing these days, going for the old preseason build on a Akali with the Ripmaker, going to give him a lot of Omni damage here. Now a little bit of a fight breaking out in the jungle here. AM Trick running away, having contested Western on the Scuttle Crab, not able to find the kill there. Mianzo with the Q over the wall is going to be able to provide a little bit of a slow here. Cyber overextending again. This pony is not having a very good game. Does manage to walk out with just a shred of life here. Trick also surviving by the skin of his teeth. Everyone is just walking away from this fight with just about nothing left. Lazi going for a little bit of an overzealous ultimate here. Does get responded to immediately with the Misfortune ultimate there. There goes Loyal with the kill now into the backline. A triple kill for Western. St. Clair, these are not the fights you want, and these are definitely not the fights you need. The gold lead is now 8,000 in the favor of Western University, and they're going to push for the tier 2 mid here.
Yeah, 8,000 at 15 minutes is a big number, especially with the second Herald spawning and the fact that they have really good split pushers in Fiora, and Echo being able to split push and then look for those flanks with his W. So they're going to get the second tier turret in mid, and posture back to get these resets off with how much gold that they accumulated over this. Loyal looking like he wants to get this top turret to open up that side to get deep vision for this Rift Arrow.
Curtain call from Jin was a little bit of a facepalm there. You could kind of hear the slap as soon as that ultimate connected. Because as soon as he sets up, he just takes the Misfortune ultimate right to the face. Oh gosh, that's a lot of damage, especially with the Collector now being completed on that AD carry. That is so much execute burst with this lethality Misfortune build.
Yeah, the AD builds recently just seem like a lot of lethality, just damage, and that Misfortune ult is just shredding health bars. Lazi was at half when he hit that curtain call, and he just demolished in 2 seconds.
Yeah, with how effective laning phase is in today's meta and how important it is to have a good lane, lethality 80 carry builds just makes sense because it gives you so much damage in your 2v2 fights that you're able to snowball your leads if you are able to clean up those kills. And the Collector is such a good item for cleaning up kills. That 5% health execute, just making all of your engages and trades feel a lot smoother, allowing you to clean up those kills, especially on champions like Misfortune and Jin that have fairly long range ultimates where you can kind of, get that fadeaway kill from a long distance. It makes your curtain calls feel really good. It makes your Misfortune also feel really good as well here. So for St. Clair now, with such a big lead into the bot lane side of Western, you're going to have to play a very team-oriented game here. Trick overextending for a ward is going to get caught out by the death sentence here from the Thresh. There's the kill. Blaze Nova actually picking up that kill for himself here. Yule's now in a tricky situation here with Cyber over the wall. There goes the Hecarim ulti into the Lantern, pulling Flood links in. Yule can't even ult. He is just already dead to this Misfortune, and Western is just going to shove this lead down St. Clair's throat.
Yeah, they all postured the top side for the Herald, and they got a lot more than the Herald, and it's looking like Jayoya going on Frez here, looking to try and get the ultimate off, chasing him down with Lazi, hitting him. Nianspo here to back him up. Lazi, oh my gosh, Jayoya's healing just barely almost hit Lazi, but while that fight was going on, they brought 3 people down to bot lane while they were pushing topside. They lose their inhibitor and 2 turrets off of this, while Cyber is getting the Rift Herald. That is an extremely good play for Western.
Not to mention, Frez got the kill there on to Jayoya. I had to remember the summoner name. It took me a while to find it there. But Frez got the kill there. And unfortunately for Frez, his build has been pretty inefficient this game. Now on his 3rd component item, we have the Tiamat into the Bombing Cinder into the Bramble Vest, which means no mythic completed, no legendary completed, and it's 19 minutes now. So that gold is really not doing a whole lot for St. Clair right now. Would have been much better if that went on to Lazi. So very unfortunate turn of events for St. Clair.
Yeah, that is really unfortunate, but it is all right. What are you thinking as St. Clair right now? What would your path to winning be?
It's very tricky. The draft that Western pulled off here is not only good at team fight, but it's also very good at split pushing. And unfortunately for St. Clair, no one can really match these split pushes effectively. As we saw, Frez struggled in that 1v1 against Jayoya. But here goes Yule now with the Frez teleport on top of the Shen there. Now chasing Jayoya into the backline is going to manage to finish the kill here. Might be the fight that St. Clair needs here. Puzzle is in an awkward spot, but he does have a fairly strong front line there. Yule getting bursted out by Hector. Now a triple kill here for Western. Thresh tanking away those curtain call shots from Jin. It's just Nianspo and Lazi left available to defend against this 4-man push from Western. The Herald now stampeding down the lane. Cyber gonna smash into the turret with that rampage there. Nianspo sticking the slow, gonna escort his carry out of there. A cheeky little emote from the Thresh there as this Herald gets delivered to the tier 3 tower here. Still alive now as well to do some damage to the inhibitor and maybe even the Nexus towers. It looks like Western is going for throne here.
Looks like they're going to be pushed out of the base. Trick coming in with the snowball. Pleblinks getting lanterned out. They're looking to chase down this fight. St. Clair is trying their best, but Pleblinks is doing so much damage. Loyal getting the unstoppable. The teleport coming in from Jayoya. It's looking like the game's going to be all but over. And Yule dying to Cyber at the end. Now they're just working on this Nexus, and we're going into Game 3.
Cool. You go from Game 1 just absolutely stomping Western, then they break your base in 21 minutes. That is painful to watch. Very well executed from Western. Not the performance we've seen from St. Clair, but we did see a very good Game 1, and I'm looking forward to seeing just as good of a Game 3. But that Game 2, oh my gosh. Western just played out of their mind.
Yeah, that was a really good game by Western, and they positioned really well around the objectives that they needed to go for. They got some good vision. They got a lot of good catches out of this Thresh. He hit some really nice hooks that impacted the game and just escalated it to the end. He took the Nunu at that top side and turned it into his own snowball, pretty much.
Yeah, imagine snowballing into a Nunu and making a bigger snowball than he did. That's just, oh gosh. Yeah, the way Western played their early game was just really smart. Like that Hecarim starting topside and being able to be a resource for his bot lane early on in the game. Even though St. Clair actually did manage to pull a little bit of a lead in the early game, I believe Wazzy had 2 or 3 kills to his name before he started dropping a couple deaths. There were just a lot of really unfortunate river fights, and we often see this in collegiate games where teams don't really choose to slow the pace of the game. They're always looking for that aggressive push, and which is why these games are so brawly. Like there's just fights everywhere, constantly. And when you take a game like that, especially when you're running teams that are relatively early to mid game, whichever team gets their hands on those early kills has a huge advantage going into the mid game. And Western just did a very good job of taking their lead and pushing it right down St. Clair's throat.
Yeah, I believe that Lazi got that really good fight in bot lane, and then they weren't able to reset in time for the Dryden. So then Western was able to take advantage of that and shut them down on the Dryden, knowing that they just did not have the resources for it, did not have the gold, did not have the mana. And that was really the tipping point for me where I think the game just started to go a little bit more towards Western's favor.
Yeah, they did a great job of using resources on their team. Before we get into game number 3, we are going to take yet another quick 2-minute break. So don't go anywhere. We will be back with more Collegiate League of Legends just after the break.